Today on TimesCast Tech,
Would it be all right to see your home screen?
you have too many apps on your phone, and we're all worried about you. It's time for an intervention. A conversation with Nick Wingfield on the takeaway from this week's announcements from Apple,
This is what thermonuclear war between Apple and Google looks like.
and a new look at parking meter technologies being adapted by an increasing number of cities.
This meter can also accept payment via cell phone.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us for another episode of TimesCast Tech. I'm Sam Grobart. We've got a lot of great stories today. Right away, though, I want to jump into our first one about Verizon. The wireless carrier yesterday announced new shareable data plans for its users. This includes unlimited text and voice and allows you to buy one single data plan that you can share across all of your smartphones and tablets and other devices. Here's how it breaks down. First thing you do is you have to actually pay a fee for each device per month. You pay $40 for a smartphone, $30 for a cell phone, and $10 for a tablet. Now that's not all. You actually have to buy your monthly allotment of data, which runs anywhere from $50 for 1 gigabyte to $100 for 10 gigabytes. It does simplify things in that you only have to buy one plan for all of your devices, but Verizon's not doing this just to be nice. They, and soon AT&T as well, are going where the action is. They realize that voice and text, which used to make up the majority of their revenue, is on the decline. And as we spend more time streaming music and video and going on social networks, we are consuming a lot more data. Now, of course, one of the big culprits in our increasing data consumption is Apple, which makes products like the iPhone and the iPad. And that technology company had a major event earlier this week in San Francisco, the Worldwide Developers Conference, and they announced a lot of new products and a lot of new upgrades. I had the opportunity, however, to sit down with our Apple beat reporter, Nick Wingfield, to talk about some of the lasting takeaways from that event. So, Nick, earlier in the week, we had Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference. A lot of big news out of there. Most people have already heard a lot of it, but what to you is sort of the big story that is going to remain a big story going forward?
Well, I think what we learned is that this is what thermonuclear war between Apple and Google looks like. There's this famous line in Steve Jobs' biography where he talks about wanting to go thermonuclear on Google because he viewed them as having stolen the look and feel of the iPhone with Google's Android smartphone operating system. And now what we're seeing is essentially the eviction of Google, partial eviction of Google from the iPhone in the form of this new Apple Maps service, which replaces a Google Maps service. No longer will Google be powering the Maps service within the iPhone, which is a big deal. I mean, people with cell phones use Maps all the time. Google is the back end. Google has the most, I guess, the best known and most commonly used map service out there. So all that traffic sort of goes away for Google, and in its place is this really interesting new Apple service, which combines data from a lot of different sources, but some cool special sauce from Apple on the top, including 3D imagery and so on.
So by taking Maps away from Google, this is actually another way that Apple can take some part of search away from Google. And every time you use your Maps app, currently on an iPhone, you're giving Google data about you looking for something.
Right. You could imagine being out and about with your iPhone and, asking for the nearest supermarket or cafe, and Apple could slip in some ads to try and send you to an advertiser's establishment.
Why not?
We now have over 400 million accounts on the App Store.
Apple hasn't done its own search engine, and I think the chances of them doing their own search engine are very unlikely. What's more likely is that they'll come in with a new interface to a variety of different types of search experiences. They're already doing it with Siri, where you talk to your phone and you ask it for sports trivia and it sends you to one source. You ask it for movie trivia. Right.
So instead of sort of casting your lot with Google, you open yourself up and you say, fine, we're just going to work with everybody else.
That's right. Of course, their developer conference is coming up, Google's own developer conference, their response to what Apple did earlier this week. And we'll see them talk about a lot of different issues. I'm expecting, including the notion that that it's not as easy to develop for Android as it is for iPhone, or not as profitable to develop for it.
In my latest toolkit column, I wanted to take a look at apps and how we can keep them more organized on our smartphones and tablets. See, the thing is, I'm not going to say that I have OCD because I'm not a medical professional, but I think it would be pretty fair to assume that I'm on the spectrum. I like to keep my smartphone really, really organized. And I have some tips to show you how to do that. But before I get to them, I went out to Bryant Park earlier and talked to some people on the street and asked them a very personal question. Can I peek at your home screen? I'm Sam. Pleasure to meet you. Would it be all right if maybe we took a look at your home screen? Would it be all right if I saw your home screens? Do you have a smartphone? And I was wondering if maybe I could take a look with you at your phone.
Thoroughly organized.
You are thoroughly organized.
Of course.
Okay.
I got my Facebook, my sports news, my music,
Okay.
and my survival guide.
Oh wow! In case anything really bad happens.
Hey, you never know, and you don't need the internet for that either.
Right. Now yours is like super tidy.
Yes.
Are you a very tidy person?
I try to be.
Okay.
Yes.
You have 4 folders here, and that's pretty much everything you have on your phone.
Yeah.
Do you know how many apps you have on your smartphone?
No.
Do you know how many apps you have on your phone?
80.
80?
I would say maybe even more.
How many of them do you think you actually use?
Probably about 4.
This is stuff that I really don't use.
I don't really use that one.
Okay.
I rarely use those.
Do you have
That's it.
other screens besides this one?
I do, but I don't use them.
Would it be all right to see your home screen?
Yes, of course.
Are you organizing these apps in any particular way?
I try. In
Right.
the iPhone, I have folders.
You have folders on the iPhone, but
Yes.
not here.
Not here.
Do you ever feel like you have too many apps?
No, I keep it at a minimum because I know I don't want to take up too much space on my phone. It slows down the phone.
Okay, so it's like sort of most used, kind of
Most
used,
kind
not
of
really
and
used.
least frequently used. Yes.
Right.
I have 2 phones.
You have 2 phones. And these are different apps.
No,
You keep-
those are pretty much the same. This one I didn't use. I have to erase it.
You have to erase it?
Yeah, I have to erase it right now.
You're gonna erase it right now?
Yeah, because I
I'm
never,
glad to help.
I never use that one.
It's ugly out there, people. You need some help. I got some tips for you. Let me show you right away. First thing you want to know about, you want to make folders. You want to be able to group apps together so that you have them in the space that only one app used to be able to occupy. Let me show you how you do that. On this iPhone, all you do is tap and hold on your apps. And then you start to see them all wiggle there for a little while. If you tap and hold on one app and drag it over another, see what's happening? Kaboom! Folder. Look at that. Productivity, they call it. But I don't want to call it productivity. I want to call it schedule. So I just tap on the X there, and I can rename it. And now I'm done. And I can then drag any other apps into that folder up to 12. The other thing you want to do, once you now have folders, is you want to keep your apps on one screen only. This is very important to me, at least, because that means you're not having to swipe back and forth through all these different screens. I've got nothing else here. Nothing, okay? We're done. So you keep things on one screen. Now, if you're using folders and you're keeping your apps on one screen, you are eventually going to run out of space, but it's after something like more than 100 apps, which means that you're gonna have to start deleting apps, okay? I mean, it's just a fact of life. There are apps that you're probably not using anymore, as we just saw in the segment. It's a little bit like fashion and clothing. If you haven't worn it in a year, you gotta throw it out. So what I do is I go in here and I got, oh, more cowbell. I don't really want any more cowbell. I want less cowbell. So I'm gonna tap and hold. See the little X there? Goodbye, cowbell. Go away, cowbell. Yeah, see, I do want to delete it. It's gone. By the way, it's not gone forever. You can always re-download it for no charge from the App Store because you already bought it. It's very simple. All right. Now that we can breathe a little more easily looking at our smartphones, I want to move on to another source of stress, parking. There have been some tremendous advances in parking meter technology, and they are currently on display at the world's largest parking convention. Don't say we don't go to the ends of the earth for you people, we do. It's in Phoenix, Arizona, and it's changing the way that cities and drivers profit from the daily headache. My colleague, Jennifer Medina, has this report.
Bring it in. Good job. So this meter is configured to be able to detect the presence and the absence of a vehicle.
The hockey puck-shaped device under this car is one of the latest innovations in parking technology. Introduced by IPS Group, the same company that has also added credit card slots to meters, it uses a short-wave radio signal to detect when a vehicle is parked above it. When the vehicle pulls away, it sends a signal to the parking meter, and that gives cities like Santa Monica the option of wiping away any remaining time from the meter.
So the vehicle is now departed, and in just a couple seconds, it'll actually reset it down to 0. Now it's back to 0.
Santa Monica officials say the $4 million system is aimed at increasing parking efficiency, not revenue. They say it will allow other drivers to go online and look for open parking spaces in the city's most crowded streets. But residents claim it is a way to get more money out of them, one way or another.
This meter can also accept payment via cell phone. My cell phone can take an image. That image tells me what meter location, the rates. I can select how much time I wanted to purchase, let's say 30 minutes. I review my payment, and then I go ahead and pay.
As meter technologies become increasingly intelligent and the data they collect increasingly inexpensive to transmit, more and more cities are considering these kinds of systems.
What we're starting to see is that cities are becoming larger and larger consumers of data. All of this information is wirelessly consolidated in a web-accessible data management system, offering a lot of reports on cash transactions, credit card transactions, even maintenance alerts. So when this meter goes down, it will actually send a text message or an email to the staff, and they can respond more proactively.
15 other cities have installed the pucks. Meanwhile, Los Angeles and San Francisco both use similar technologies to gauge how crowded a street is, adjusting parking prices based on demand and time of day. For the New York Times, this is Jennifer Medina.
I have been informed that this parking technology also does work on actual full-size cars, just to let you know. Next up, we have a photo essay from photographer Jamie Stillings, who took some amazing pictures of a $2.2 billion solar thermal plant being built in the Mojave Desert. The Ivampa solar field, about an hour and a half outside of Las Vegas, is planned for completion sometime next year. When finished, it will have 350,000 mirrors spread over 3,600 acres of desert. Those mirrors reflect sunlight onto boilers, creating steam which run turbines that should power 140,000 homes. Environmentalists say the installation damages the natural habitat of the endangered desert tortoise. But BrightSource, one of the companies building the site, says it has spent $56 million relocating the tortoises. Jamie Stillings' photo essay appears in Sunday's magazine. That's our show. You can see these stories and many more at nytimes.com/tech. Thanks for watching. See you next time.